Shravanam Diaries podcast.
Continuing to read Bhagavad Gita as it is, the book by His Divine Grace, by Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Chapter 15, The Yoga of the Supreme Person, Text 1. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Urdhvamulam Andashakham Ashvatam Prahuravyayam Chandamsi Yasya Parinani Yastam Veda Savedavit. Oh, I love this chapter also. Jai. The personality of Godhead said, "It is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas." Purport. After the discussion of the importance of Bhakti Yoga, one may question, what about the Vedas? It is explained in this chapter that the purpose of Vedic study is to understand Krishna. Therefore, one who is in Krishna consciousness, who is engaged in devotional service, already knows the Vedas. The entanglement of this material world is compared here to a banyan tree. For one who is engaged in fruitive activities, there is no end to the banyan tree. He wanders from one branch to another, to another, to another. The tree of this material world has no end, and for one who is attached to this tree, there's no possibility of liberation. The Vedic hymns meant for elevating oneself are called the leaves of this tree. This tree's roots grow upward, because they begin from where Brahma is located, the topmost planet of this universe. If one can understand this indestructible tree of illusion, then one can get out of it. This process of extrication should be understood. In the previous chapters, it has been explained that there are many processes by which to get out of the material entanglement. And up to the 13th chapter, we have seen that devotional service to the Supreme Lord is the best way. Now, the basic principle of devotional service is detachment from material activities and attachment to the transcendental service of the Lord. The process of breaking attachment to the material world is discussed in the beginning of this chapter. The root of this material existence grows upward. This means that it begins from the total material substance, from the topmost planet of the universe. From there, the whole universe is expanded with so many branches representing the various planetary systems. The fruits represent the results of the living entities' activities, namely religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. Now, there is no ready experience in this world of a tree situated with its branches down and its roots upward, but there is such a thing. That tree can be found beside a reservoir of water. We can see that the trees on the bank reflect upon the water with their branches down and roots up. In other words, the tree of this material world is only a reflection of the real tree of the spiritual world. This reflection of the spiritual world is situated on desire, just as a tree's reflection is situated on water. Desire is the cause of things being situated in this reflected material light. Desire, people, desire. One who wants to get out of this material existence must know this tree thoroughly through analytical study. Then he can cut off his relationship with it. This tree, being the reflection of the real tree, is an exact replica. Everything is there in the spiritual world. The impersonalists take Brahman to be the root of this material tree, and from the root, according to Sankhya philosophy, come Prakriti, Purusha, then the 3 gunas, then the 5 gross elements, Pancha Mahabhuta, then the 10 senses, Dashendriya, mind, etc. In this way, they divide up the whole material world into 24 elements. If Brahman is the center of all manifestations, then this material world is a manifestation of the center by 180 degrees. And the other 180 degrees constitute the spiritual world. The material world is the perverted reflection, so the spiritual world must have the same variegatedness, but in reality. The Prakriti is the external energy of the Supreme Lord, and the Purusha is the Supreme Lord himself. And that is explained in Bhagavad Gita. Since this manifestation is material, it is temporary. A reflection is temporary, for it is sometimes seen, sometimes not seen. But the origin from whence the reflection is reflected is eternal. The material reflection of the real tree has to be cut off. When it is said that a person knows the Vedas, it is assumed that he knows how to cut off attachment to this material world. If one knows that process, he actually knows the Vedas. Opposite to the common belief that the Vedas are meant to entangle us and make us super attached to this material world because you can squeeze something out of it, isn't it? Hi, Hare Krishna. One who is attracted by the ritualistic formulas, that's what I'm talking about, one who is attracted by the ritualistic formulas of the Vedas, it is attracted by the beautiful green leaves of the tree. He does not exactly know the purpose of the Vedas. The purpose of the Vedas, as disclosed by the personality of Godhead himself, is to cut down this reflected tree and attain the real tree of the spiritual world. Jai. Text 2. Andhaschurdvam prashritastasya shakha guna pravridha vishaya pravala adhascha mulanyanusantatani karmanubandhini manushya-loke. The branches of this tree extend downward and upward, nourished by the 3 modes of material nature. The twigs are the objects of the senses. This tree also has roots going down, and these are bound to the fruitive actions of human society. Purport. The description of the banyan tree is further explained here. Its branches spread in all directions. In the lower parts, there are variegated manifestations of the living entities, human beings, animals, horses, cows, dogs, cats, etc. These are situated on the lower parts of the branches, whereas on the upper parts are higher forms of living entities, the demigods, Gandharvas, and many other higher species of life. As a tree is nourished by water, so this tree is nourished by the 3 modes of material nature. Sometimes we find that a tract of land is barren, for want of sufficient water. And sometimes a tract is very green. Similarly, where particular modes of material nature are proportionately greater in quantity, the different species of life are manifested accordingly. The twigs of the tree are considered to be sense objects. By development of the different modes of nature, we develop different senses, and by the senses we enjoy different varieties of sense objects. The tips of the branches are the senses, the ears, nose, eyes, etc., which are attached to the enjoyment of different sense objects. The twigs are sound, form, touch, and so on. The sense objects. The subsidiary roots are attachments and aversions, which are byproducts of different varieties of suffering and sense enjoyment. The tendencies towards piety and impiety are considered to develop from these secondary roots, which spread in all directions. The real root is from Brahmaloka, and the other roots are in the human planetary systems. After one enjoys the results of virtuous activities in the upper planetary systems, he comes down to this earth and renews his karma or fruitive activities for promotion. This planet of human beings is considered the field of activities. Okay, we're going to continue tomorrow with further description of this tree. I still remember how sometimes devotees, they are able to, that's the beauty of course, reading in company, also, and also having the association of devotees who really have the taste for reading. So one time I was at Namahata of Jagannath Acharya Prabhu, and Ajita Chaitanya Prabhu, he was reading Bhagavad Gita, this exactly chapter, and I still remember him saying that, so this tree, what do we do with it? And he was like saying, what is peace-loving personality like Jagannath Acharya Prabhu? Why does he want to use the axe? It's like Jagannath Acharya Prabhu, or was it the other way around? Jagannath Acharya Prabhu said that he asked, what do we do with it? And Prabhu said that we chop it with the axe. And then they were joking about this. So I just still remember that expression, that peace-loving Jagannath. And he's a pujari for like his whole life he was a pujari, Jagannath Acharya Prabhu, and he was like, we chop it off with the axe of detachment, this tree. So yeah, Jai, it's beautiful. It's really, I feel that when we realize that this tree is situated on desire and all the components, you really, take your, you realize that you are aloof from all of this. You're not a part of all of this. And that's the beauty of like this particular chapter, that you really like take a step back and you realize that all of this has nothing to do with you. And later on we'll see how this knowledge actually gives you that axe to chop off the tree. Okay, we'll read it further tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in today. The book links, previous episodes timeline, and biography of the author can be found on shravanamdiaries.com. The link is in the description, and we shall see you tomorrow. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.